Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Major Push Wrestling, where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I'm your host, Gino, Papa Gino 0017, Gino's Best, whatever you want to call me. I'm joined again by C-Rod. C-Rod, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. Glad to be back. I know it's been a few weeks here and just ready to get into it.
Well, we're happy to have you. We always appreciate your honest and sometimes different opinions on things, but that's the whole point of doing this. So we're going to get right into it. First and foremost, to everybody watching, whether it's live or on demand, we really do appreciate that. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share this video with somebody you think might enjoy it. And if you'd like to be a guest on this show, feel free to reach out. Okay, so we're going to talk two topics tonight. First off, we are going to be talking about Liv Morgan. She was set up for a storyline with Nikki Bella, Nikki Bella, yep, um, to be potentially main eventing WWE's Evolution 2. And then her match with Kairi Sane, she had a routine, bracing her fall and an impact on her shoulder, and she dislocated her shoulder. It was pretty nasty when you see it. It obviously hurts if you've ever had a dislocated shoulder. You know that it hurts. I know I have. And there's some rumors that she's going to be out for past SummerSlam, past Evolution. And to me, that's a little bit confusing. Now, I am in no way insulting anybody's ability or pain threshold or ability to persevere through pain, but like usually a dislocation once it's popped back in, yeah, it's sore, but you're usually good to go. So I don't necessarily know what's going on with that. I'm hearing that Rhea had her shoulder dislocated when Liv attacked her backstage all those months ago, and that's why she was out for an extended period of time. But then they also did that storyline or that angle or whatever you want to call it, that moment in a match where Rhea's shoulder popped out and she popped it back in by shoving it up against the announce table or the ring post, one of the two. By the way, she finished that match or finishing these matches. Um, so I'm just confused. Either it's not a dislocation. Again, I'm not a doctor, but either it's not a dislocation or they're trying to swerve us. I cannot believe that a dislocation would keep her out this long. Are they gonna take away the tag team titles from her? We haven't even really seen Raquel. What are they gonna do here? Obviously, Liv is one of the top three most popular women's wrestlers in the company right now. An argument can be made for number one. It really could be. You've got your Rhea Ripley's, you got your Stephanie Vaquer. It's a very short list of people that are out that are there. So I wanted to see what you thought. C-Rod lives your girl, and I'm sure it was really early into the match too. So I'm sure it was pretty devastating for you to see that this was happening. They don't stop WWE matches early often. So obviously this was to be taken seriously. C-Rod, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, so I think it's a legitimate injury. It wasn't even early into the match. It was literally the first move set of the match. The match was probably 5 seconds long. And I've been seeing rumors anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks, which I do tend to agree with you. You think dislocated arm, put
Oh,
maybe it's just because they're falling so much. Maybe it's just because there's a lot of pressure put on her arm. I don't know. She was just out for a movie. I can't see it being anything like that.
oh,
Because it's going to be sad to miss her on Evolution.
it will be. Just so you know, you had a few moments of lag there when we missed a few things, but I think we got the
Oh,
gist of what you're trying to say. It would be a travesty because they haven't had one of these events in years. Triple H talked about it. A female uh, reporter had asked him about that at the last PLE, and he said for one reason or another that the timing hasn't been right to do a second one of these. I can't think of what could possibly have stopped that other than them thinking that it wouldn't sell out or something. So they're doing this like three events in a row type of situation, trying to get people to do the 3 day tickets, things like that. But in an era where you don't need pay-per-view buys because you've got Peacock, and obviously this event is geared more towards the female audience. I mean, I have Peacock for WWE, obviously, but there's all that Bravo stuff on there for my girlfriend. We watch Love Island. Like so I would guess that there are more women with Peacock than there are men with Peacock. So
Well, we've also talked about how strong the women's division is. I think this is the perfect time to bring Evolution back because there are so many strong women on that card. Being a male, I'm ready to watch that show. I love the matches that they put on. And I also heard a rumor that it was potentially going to be the Bella twins versus Liv and Raquel for the titles.
that would I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I really don't because Raquel's not a future Hall of Famer as of yet. He is a current tag team champion with Liv, but that gives me very much Cena and Rock versus R-Truth and The Miz vibes from back all those years ago in Survivor Series. But I think I would rather a Liv versus Nikki, right?
Yeah,
Because that Liv is a singles competitor. Why they aren't letting her challenge EO, and obviously she's injured and stuff, but like why she's just essentially relegated to holding the tag team title because WWE knows they have something special in her. They just don't have her factored into the main event storylines for whatever reason. If she's opening shows, she
yeah.
opened Monday Night Raw. The crowd loves her, and like it's interesting. I do feel bad for her. We're kind of talking about Evolution too. They've got a match that easily could be an upper card match on any premium live event, including a WrestleMania in Bayley versus Becky for a championship. And they're throwing it away on a weekly television show. Why isn't that happening at Evolution? Are we going to have some screwy finish? What's going on? I know we kind of devolved this topic into talking about Evolution too. Don't worry, I will split the chapters up so you guys know what's going on. But yeah, I all in all, I am looking forward to what they've got going on for Evolution. I just it would be I won't be shocked if Liv comes back and does an early comes back early from her injury and is able to have some type of impact at that show. SummerSlam is in New Jersey at her own stomping grounds. It would be a travesty for her to miss that. But even healthy wrestlers get a scratch from their hometown. Look at Karrion Kross at WrestleMania this year. All right. So, it's interesting. It really is interesting what we've got going on with the injury and with the storylines and what they're trying to do. But I am intrigued for sure.
I
I am
think it's
intrigued.
I think it's strange that they put the titles on them, and before Liv left for her movie, they didn't really defend it. And then when she came back, she was never even really with Raquel. She was always out with Dom, or like you said, opening a show out on her own. And I feel like they just want to have a title on her to say that she's a champion. But I feel like it's been very wasted because her and Raquel just haven't been defending it, the way that they should be as champions.
I can't even think of, I can barely remember them winning it, let alone defending the championships. So
Yeah.
my memory is always not the best, but that's a problem. That's
Yeah.
a problem. And maybe they can have Roxanne take the spot, but then you've severely de-elevated your hype level for that match.
Yeah.
So yeah, but at the end of the day, Liv getting hurt, and there are scumbags out there that are like saying you deserve it and stuff like that, probably because she dislocated Rhea's shoulder and all this stuff. And I'm not in that dark web. I'm just seeing that Rhea posted about cheering for somebody's injury is a problem. So if you're one of those people, like you should take a hard look in the mirror because even when I'm watching the New York Giants play, I still don't want to see their players get hurt. And I'm a huge Patriots fan. You don't root for people to get hurt. You can want them to stink, you can want them whatever, but you don't root for somebody's livelihood to be taken away from them. I don't care. I just don't care. So if you're one of those people, reevaluate your life. If you're not one of those people, try not to fall into that trap of the people that you don't like because this is wrestling. Like you're not supposed to like her, you like her, whatever. You think it's karma. And I'll say right now, I did think it was karma that Kevin Owens had neck injury when he was kayfabe injuring everybody else's neck, right? But you don't root for that. And you don't say you deserve it. You just don't. So it's a coincidence in some cases, but I digress. Hopefully, Liv is back for SummerSlam. If she can miss Evolution too, it's fine. I don't know if they're going to strip her of the tag team titles. If she was Daniel Bryan, they would have stripped her already. They would have stripped her that evening. She would have been stripped of the title. So we'll see what happens. Um, so, do you have anything else that you want to add to this, C-Rod?
I just, I Liv is one of the best things to happen right now for the women's division. Like you said, I think she elevates everybody that she faces, and I think it's best for, the women's card if she can come back healthy and as soon as possible. So, the wrestling community will definitely miss her, and I will miss her as well. That's my girl.
Yeah, and they're still advertising her for Fanatics Fest, which is coming up this summer and stuff. Um, like you said, her coming back healthy is the most important thing. So we started this conversation talking about the length of time that this injury takes to heal, but I
Yep.
would be fine with her being out until the Royal Rumble if it means she doesn't come back too soon and re-injure herself or put herself in harm's way or another wrestler in harm's way. So we will see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. And we'll just keep to the dirt sheets to try and figure out what the news is. But speaking of dirt sheets, it kind of ruined the impact of Goldberg coming out against Gunther, right? We're not going to go into that too much, um, just because we've got a few shows to talk about it. But I do want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Goldberg versus Gunther? Just real quick, because I talked about it last night on No DQ.
I would have loved for it to be more of a surprise. Everybody knew they were already advertising it that he was, I think they had him on the Saturday night main event poster before Raw, maybe. Or maybe I saw it after, I'm not sure. But 58 years old, he doesn't really have a need to be in the ring. I understand it's a retirement match. Watching Raw, he being somebody that saw Goldberg from day one, seeing him at 58 years old standing in that ring, sweating, limping, Father Time catches up to everybody. I understand that. It doesn't matter, well, R-Truth looks great for 53, but he looks old now, and I said that in our group chat earlier today. I'm not really excited for this match. It's probably going to be a squash match, but I really hope that it's his retirement match. I get it. Goldberg has been a part of wrestling for so long. Let him go out this way. It's weird that it's for a title. It's weird that people are saying they took the belt off of Jay to give to Gunther to face Goldberg for the belt. Like you could have had Gunther versus Goldberg without the belt. I really hope that this doesn't bleed over to SummerSlam because I don't think Goldberg has it in him to go more than 4 or 5 minutes, and we don't need to see that multiple times versus Gunther because he could put him in a, he could put him in a sleeper hold for 3 minutes and the match is over. But I'd be really intrigued to see if Goldberg has the power left in him to pick up somebody of Gunther's size and the jackhammer. And I hope it's a good match, but it's really just nostalgia at this point. I don't think it's going to be more than a Dave Meltzer 1-star match.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate that. And speaking of spilling into SummerSlam, that brings us to our main event of the evening. We are going to be talking specifically about Sami Zayn and will he ever hold a world heavyweight championship or the WWE championship? So a world championship. He is in the King of the Ring tournament, which I really miss when it was a one night event. Um, you could make a premium live event out of that. And I'm surprised they haven't done that. I feel like the Saudi royals are kind of throwing a monkey wrench into all of that, but you could still book it better than that. He's going to be fighting Randy Orton. for the opportunity to go to the finals in Saudi Arabia. I fully expect Sami to win that match because Sami is Islamic and he's a big hero when he comes over there. So I think it would be stupid to not have Sami in that. And he'll either fight Cody or Jay. So these are all buddies. We've got Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. And this is what I like. When you do things like that, you have baby faces versus baby faces, yes, but I don't mind that because they're all they're the best of the best. They're going for King of the Ring. It shouldn't have to be heel versus babyface, heel versus because we can basically pick who's going to win these matches going into it. Now we don't really know, right? If say Sami wins and Cody was fighting a heel, then we would know Cody was going to lose that. Right now we don't know who it's going to be. I still expect it to be Cody, but Sami has a very good chance at winning this, which means he will have a championship match at SummerSlam, probably against Gunther, right? And that would be a perfect opportunity for Sami to win. I don't think Sami should be beating Gunther, but he's already done it before, so it doesn't really create another human being that has beaten Gunther. It's still just Sami, Jay, and Ilya Dragunov, and I think one more person from NXT. Maybe it was Ilya, but either way, I don't know that they're going to pull the trigger on this. Sami has come so close so many times. Kevin Owens has held the title a lot, and they are essentially 1A, 1B when it comes to where they're from, how they all these things. They almost sound exactly alike. They could both be talking, and I close my eyes, and sometimes I'm like, oh, Kevin Owens is here. No, it's just Sami. But that's what happens when you grow up together with somebody. So I do think that he will win a world championship. I think now it's either now or never. Maybe you have him win it, and then Seth comes in and cashes in right on him, like a la Drew McIntyre at Mania last year, because that's a way to get heat. That's a way to get heat. Sami could have won it, but he doesn't have a run with it. You know, maybe that's WWE's way of around giving him the title, but not having him be the champion, because there's a difference. And they just keep mentioning it too much. All these feuds, you're never going to be a world champion. You've never going to be a world champion. Sami's coming to the ring during certain matches and got Kevin Owens backstage trying to hype him up. He's got all these guys, giving him hype. Like Sami is the ultimate underdog, but then he's beating people like Gunther. He's doing all of these things. The crowd loves him. We loved singing his song at Saturday night's main event.
Yep.
So I do think that he will be a world champion, at least for a minute. I'm not confident enough to say any more than that because it seems like they're hesitant to pull the trigger on him for whatever reason. So I want to ask you, C-Rod, the question is to you, will Sami Zayn ever win a world championship in WWE?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I don't think it will ever be the undisputed. I think it will be the quote unquote workhorse title because that's, what Sami is. Sami's proved that he is a storyteller. He's proved that he can work with grapplers, high flyers, bruisers, anybody. Sami can have a great match against anyone. We've seen it multiple times, and you know the undisputed is the big fight attraction. It's the top card. I don't ever see Sami being on that same card with Roman and Cena and all of them. Not now, but I could absolutely see him, taking home that workhorse title. And the thing is though is like you said, how does he get it? Because, at the same time, Sami could win King of the Ring, but it could also quite possibly be Jay, and they could run back Jay and Gunther again and have Jay get his belt back because what I loved about the Attitude Era is belts changed hands on Raw and SmackDown, and that was kind of what we saw, and everybody was shocked, and nobody really expected that because in today's world, belts really only change hands at PLEs. So it was fresh and it was nice to see, but at the same time, everybody's like, man, I can't believe Jay lost his belt. Well, you didn't want him to have it to begin with, and then he lost and you didn't want him to have it. And everybody goes back and forth on this. So I could quite possibly see, Jay win King of the Ring. And now it's Jay and Gunther again at SummerSlam. Who knows? But I would love to see Sammy in the fold. He's a fun personality, and it's entertainment. It's sports entertainment. But one thing about Sammy is I don't think he's that underdog persona anymore. He tries to play it, and I don't want to say that it's stale because it's who he is, but I think he needs to evolve at some point because, like you mentioned, he's not the underdog. He's had some really big wins in the last year, year and a half, and I think it's time for him to take that elevation from underdog to somebody that is taken seriously for title contention. I don't think that Seth is going after that belt. I think Seth cashes in on who and how, I don't know. Maybe he cashes in when Cena's gone and somebody else has the belt. Maybe Punk somehow beats Cena in their match and Seth goes after Punk. I don't know. But I don't see Seth cashing in on anything but the undisputed belt at this point. And I know I'm kind of rambling off here, so long answer short, I do believe Sammy will win the title. And I think the thing that I love right now is we don't know when or how. And that's the most intriguing thing because when we go back to like talking about Backlash and how predictable it was and how predictable things have been, I think, like you said, four baby faces in the King of the Ring, anybody could win and you could justify it, and it brings a lot of intrigue going into SummerSlam. They have two nights for the first time ever. They're going to have a lot of card to fill, and they're going to have a lot of storylines collaborate and come together for that event in New Jersey.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, C-Rod. We appreciate your insight on that. So those are our thoughts. Question goes out to you guys. What do you think? Comment in the comment section below. Let us know. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. From Gino to C-Rod, everybody out there, we really appreciate it. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.